So, first things first, how are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm alright, thanks.
That's great.
So, before we talk about the album, I'd like to jump back to the beginning.
Okay.
And you grew up in a very strict household.
I did.
What role did music play when you were growing up?
Absolutely none.
Okay.
Really, I wasn't one of these people who was like a young kid playing music. I picked it up much later.
But was there music playing as you grew up?
There was, my dad was born in 1905, so he's pretty, and my mom was 33 years younger.
Okay.
So, yeah, he'd play stuff like Louis Armstrong, very old taste, Caribbean stuff, jazz,
Okay.
monk.
And at that age, did it have an impact on you? Did it?
I think the first song that I ever remembered was Louis Armstrong's St. Louis Blues.
Okay.
When I heard that as a little kid, I thought, wow, that's something. That's pretty interesting. And I did ask my father what it was, and he told me. And I liked that melody a lot as a kid. So, I don't know. I think music is just kind of part of the fabric of life, and I think probably in the subconscious, obviously it had an effect on me.
And then, well, fast forward a bunch of years. When was it Prince that turned that whole thing around? That Prince was kind of the one who got you into music?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'm the eighth of 14 kids, so I think naturally I was an exhibitionist because you don't get any attention. And so I was always like, hey, look at me, look at this hat, look at these boots. Yeah, and then I ran away when I was 12, like never came back home and never saw my dad again. And I remember just being a kid, and I was attracted to Prince's very early music, and because it just felt rebellious and free, and he was this black artist, wearing garters and bikinis and trench coats. And I was like, this is crazy, and the music was great. So, yeah, I think he was a role model. I still wasn't a musician at that point, but I was like, wow, this is great. I can identify with this artist.
And then, what made you decide to go for music then?
Well, being an exhibitionist, I couldn't do anything else, I was, like the Oakland at that time, kids were all hustling in the life, and, you either end up dead or in jail. And I didn't like that. So I thought maybe I'll learn to play an instrument. so I started learning how to play a piano. I would sneak into the university, and I would pretend that I was a student. And I'd go to the piano practice rooms, just sign in and try to look really official. And I would just sit there, and I'd hear all these kids just practicing, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, da, da. So I was like, I learned that, and I figured out on every key that you could play a scale, and that was the beginning of me learning to play. I learned quite illegally.
Were you ever found out?
Huh?
Were you ever found out?
I don't know. I wasn't.
That's
I wasn't. Maybe they knew and felt sorry for me. I don't know, but no, never. I was never refused.
And so was it instantly as well, because you have had a lot of life experiences, so was it instantly as well writing down thoughts to paper and then kind of constructing a song?
Songs just kind of came naturally to me, so it was pretty easy. I knew I'd be a better songwriter than an actual musician, and I was really interested in putting songs and ideas together more than I was interested in playing.
Okay.
I don't know how much I really enjoyed playing. I like that music is just, these instruments are tools to get to the end result. But
The storytelling element.
Yeah, I love the storytelling and constructing the sounds.
How long did it take you from kind of sneaking into those classes, and how long did it take you from that point to write something that you were proud of, that you thought, okay, now I have something, this...
Well, I still haven't written anything I'm proud of. No, that's a lie. Maybe 6 months or something. It was quick. I had ideas. I think for the time I learned how to play to my first recording deal was like 6 years, and I had $1 million record deal.
Right.
Because I understood songs and melodies.
And then, well, did something terrible happen? You were involved in a crash?
Yeah, I was involved in a crash while I was on that record label, and took away my hand, my playing hand, which is kind of a musician's nightmare, but it was I always looked at tragedy as an opportunity to do something great.
Right.
As I always say during my shows, take the bullshit, turn it into good shit. And I've always thought that. So when I was injured and I was in a coma 3 weeks and I woke up without a playing hand, it was time to be positive.
This mentality, do you know where it comes from?
I think surviving, being being black in America. Let's keep it real. Shit. You got to do that every day. I think growing up with so many siblings and, being in foster care and so many obstacles, I think maybe it came from my dad. He was this old black man born in 1905. I think he taught us a lot about perseverance.
Right.
And seeing obstacles as an opportunity to produce something great.
And well, like you say, the crash, obviously something terrible, but then in a way it turned out to be a good thing for you because it got you released from
Yeah, I try to think of all things that are going to turn out to be opportunities.
Right.
It's just part of life. As we're living, the things, if they stop you, well, then they stop you. But if they don't, you become incredibly powerful.
Right. Because
like a wizard.
Because at that moment, right before you had that car crash, where were you musically? Did you like what you were doing?
No, I was really not happy because I had this dream and I'd signed this big record deal, and I didn't really understand the business. It's like record business. And of course, I'm young like you, and I was very idealistic, and I thought, you just sit here, man, you make this great music, and it's amazing. No, it's not like that at all. It's a business, and they have an agenda, and that's okay. I was never angry, I just wasn't happy. So maybe the accident was a blessing, as you suggested.
Right. And then for a couple of years, because, well, obviously you had to do physical rehabilitation.
Yes.
So, but it wasn't until, I think, 2014 or so that you start picking up music again. What did you do in between? No,
I think I started picking up, it went like this chronologically. Like I go to LA from Oakland, signed with, I guess it was Prince's managers at the time, and then I signed a big record deal with Jimmy Iovine, and then it all ends in 2000.
Right.
And I got right back to playing. I was doing like these different incarnations of myself. Like I did a project called Chocolate Butterfly. I did another one called Blood Sugar X. I think I called it Me and This Japanese Guys. I would just, these different incarnations of myself, I would just release music, and I would get a lot of that music placed in film. And then that gave me it's like my second wind, a new lease on being a musician. And I opened up some illegal nightclubs, and I had a good time. Nude body painting. And the club would open at like midnight, live music, eclectic and beautiful. It was great.
And then going through these, all these different incarnations.
Yes.
Was that, in hindsight, necessary to get where you are to kind of?
I think everything in our life that's happened was necessary to get us to where we are in the present. And I did that until that kind of wore off, which was probably, I quit for 5 years. So I would say from 2014 is when I got back into it. I quit for 5 years. I was just done. I went to back to my hometown, Oakland, California, and I became a medical marijuana farmer. That was a good experience.
At that time, because, well, you kind of quit the music scene.
I sold all my instruments, all my gear.
So you didn't write anything?
I didn't feel like I had anything to say, and I thought, if you have nothing to say, stop doing it. I wanted to do something else, like have some kids, grow a lot of weed, wake up every day to chickens and farm and
just a relaxed.
yeah,
life.
tried my hand at crazy stuff.
Right.
I aspired to be a polygamist, but it never happened. I'm kind of a failed polygamist, but I had this idea of like a farm, like 3 wives, man, and like money, and I don't know. It's crazy.
When did things start to turn around again then? What made you want to go back to music?
Well, I had a son. I was like, oh, I had a son. This is amazing. And one day I couldn't really get him happy in a good mood. I think I was trying to get him to sleep, and he just wasn't interested in sleeping. He was just pretty sad. So I looked around the house, and I saw that there was a guitar underneath his little orange love seat in the room. So I looked at him, I looked at the guitar, and I was like, geez, it's been a long time since I didn't even know it was there. I pulled it out, I tuned it, and I remember playing like a G major. I'll never forget it. And his sadness went to like, he just lit up, and I was like, whoa, it was kind of interesting and scary, and exhilarating. I felt like a chill, like something happened in that moment.
Right.
And I think this little person who couldn't speak yet was saying, wow, music is amazing. Like I like the vibration of that string. That's interesting. So I thought, wow, music, huh? So I thought for him, I had no aspiration to be an artist again. I thought I'll start playing some music.
Okay.
So I would, I think I was learning like some Beatles song that I heard. Like, what's that one? Words are flowing out like endless rain. What's that one? That one. So I thought, oh, that's a great melody for a kid. So I learned a couple Beatles songs, and I just played them to my little son, and it was just like kind of a thing that I would do, and that was kind of a slow walk back to being an artist, but it was just really just playing for him because I thought, well, he likes music.